Welcome to the weekly current affairs class. Today we will be dealing with topics from society as well as security. The first topic that we will be dealing with is child marriage. The topic came in the Indian Express. You must all have read it. The topic dealt with child marriage, the status in India, the the root causes of child marriage, and the government initiatives, how the government is basically thinking of ending it. So here we will first of all deal with what constitutes child marriage. See, for that we have a very clear cut definition that child marriage refers to a marriage of the contracting parties. If you must know that if a child in context of male is below 21 years of age and in context of female is below 18 years of age, what will constitute a child marriage? You must be very clear with this definition. Okay, in if a male child is less than 21 years of age, or if a female child is less than 18 years of age, then it will constitute a child marriage. So what is the status of child marriage? As per the recent National Family Health Survey 5 that happened, basically it stated that 40% of the world's 60 million child marriages basically happen in India. That if 100 marriages are happening at a world scale, basically that are constituted as child marriages, of them 40 are basically happening in India, and in that number basically constitutes in quantitative figure is 60 million. Okay, then it also states that in the recent National Family Health Survey 5 data, it states that 23.3% of the child marriages happened in India in the last years. Okay, and further it stated that the largest population of tribal poor. Okay, they have been very specific in this context. Tribal poor can be constituted by any caste, class, religion, but specific identity, tribal poor have a highest prevalence of child marriage in India. Okay, Jharkhand is the basically foremost state in this category with 32.2% of the women in the age bracket of 20 to 24 got married before 18 according to National Family Health Survey 5. And further it states that child marriage is far more prevalent among girls rather than the boys. It means that it has been observed that female child is more likely to get married before 18 years of age rather than the basically male child getting married before 21 years of age. So this kind of statistics, it is always helpful in your answers whenever you write the introduction. Okay, it can be a value addition. Okay, always go for empirical data that can basically from where you can fetch more marks. So if a question comes in UPSC mains or any another test you give, so you will write a definition that what is child marriage, and you will present a recent statistics, and the most recent one is a National Family Health Survey 5 that you will state that 23.3% of the child marriages happened in India, and Jharkhand is a leading state among that. Okay, and it has been said that the child marriage is far prevalent among girls rather than boys, so it has a gender dimension to it. It has a gender dimension to it. Okay, so moving forward, we will discuss basically what are the reasons for the prevalence of child marriage. Okay, so first of all, the first reason that has been given is that is poverty. Okay, we have seen that in many newspapers. Okay, over a period of time in your neighborhood, in your locality, you must have seen the news with respect to a child marriage happening in your locality. Okay, what is the major reason for that is that majority of the families are poor, so they want to avoid the burden. In our Indian society, there is a concept that more the age of the girl, the more the dowry. So if a family is already poor, So they are wary of this. Basically they feel that if we will marry a girl child at an early age, we will have to give less dowry. Further, the issues like child expenditure on education, expenditure on health, expenditure on nutrition, expenditure on consumption. Okay, to avoid all this, basically the families go for child marriages, so that basically they can basically ward off the responsibility of a girl child. So first, our foremost reason here is that is poverty. The second reason that we have here is that is patriarchy. What is patriarchy? Basically, again, to give you a short context, where basically males seek obedience from women. Okay, or you can also state that it is an unequal relationship between men and women. So girls in our patriarchal setup is believed to be somebody's property, okay, and are considered to be a liability, as they are not seen as individuals who can contribute productively to the family. These beliefs lead parents to marry the girl child. For example, in our religious texts, it has also been written that first of all, a girl child is a responsibility of a father. If father is not there, then brother. If after marriage, basically the responsibility of a husband. After husband, the responsibility of a male child. Okay, so in none of the stages here, basically the female child is considered to be autonomous in her life, even when she was a child, even when she was adult as married, and even when she was an elderly. Now she is under the guardianship of her male child. So patriarchal setup believes that basically females are the responsibility of males in society, so this responsibility must be transferred as early as they can. So this also leads to the concept of or prevalence of child marriage in society. Next issue is basically with respect to social mobility. The institution of marriage is often used to strengthen economic and social ties, okay, between the different families, and a young girl may be offered to a family in order to improve the financial and social standing of the girl's family. We have many a times seen that a child, basically a marriage is not seen as a compatibility issue. Okay, it is not seen that whether a male and a basically female are compatible between themselves, whether they have an understanding of each other or not, but the ties basically happen because the families are good, they have economic standing. Okay, the families of both the male as well as the females feel that if they will basically, if their children will get married, their bond will strengthen and their social standing will increase. Many a times here choice is not given to basically neither the male or the female. It is decided by the families or the parents of the both male and female that, see, it is good for us if you will get married in that family. Okay, it will give rise to our social standing, it will strengthen our economic position, so you will have to get married in that scenario. So in many a times, basically, if the concept of choice is to be made compulsory, okay, it has to be enforced upon a male or a female child, then it is basically considered essential that when a child is young, when he or she cannot basically deny your what we say command, that is the best scenario to marry a child. Because as the child will grow, basically he or she will be in her 20s or her late 20s. Okay, they will be financial independent, they can disobey, okay, the decision of the parents that, see, we do not want to get married here. But if a child is of 15, 16, 17 years of age, they will have no financial independence. Okay, they will be more fearful of the parents. So that way you can basically easily what we say marry a child. So this is another issue. So what are the basic reasons here? First of all is the poverty, okay, the issues with respect to expenditure. Then there is the patriarchy, okay, the basically male guardianship of the females. And next one is the social mobility with respect to the economic and social standing of the parents, and no choice given to the individuals who are getting married. Moving forward, the next issue is that is of legal conundrum. Okay, Prohibition of Child Marriage Act basically prohibits marriage of women before the age of 18, but Muslim personal law, okay, mentions puberty or age or 15 years as a minimum age of marriage. You first of all, two things you must recognize here. First one is that we do not have uniform civil code. There are some personal laws, okay, that are still applicable. It means that there are some religious communities whose civil relationships are still guided by their own personal laws, okay. So that is a basically contradiction, okay, or dichotomy that is present between the constitution and the personal laws. And second, you must consider that India is a religious society. It is a way of life, okay. So whenever there is a contradiction between what is said in the constitution and what is said in a religion, people are in a basically conundrum. They face a dilemma that what we have to accept, okay, whether we should accept our tradition, we should accept our religion which is a guiding force for us, or we should accept our basically constitution. And in majority of the times we see that basically people give preference to the religious beliefs or the religious guidelines. So that is why there is a issue of child marriage that is still prevalent in Indian society, that people feel that our religion is more right than the constitution, and child concept of child marriage is still prevalent in India. As the example has been given to you, there is a contradiction. Constitution says the age of 18, here religious law says the age of 15, okay. Next one is insecurity, okay. Sometimes basically what happens is, we have seen over the period of time that violence against women, okay, is rising in the form of rape, murder, sexual assault, okay, acid throwing, all that, eve teasing, number of things that you can mention here basically. And to protect the girl child from this kind of scenario, basically, okay, unmarried girls, basically, because sometimes parents, if they are elderly, okay, or they feel that they cannot protect their girl child, basically they feel that they are in a hurry that they should marry their daughters as soon as she attains the age of puberty or even before that, so that basically her husband can basically properly guard her or can provide some sense of security to her, so that she can be saved from this kind of violence. So that is the issue. Next issue is basically share in the ancestral property. Early marriage is a way of denying share of ancestral property to the females, because as the child will grow, basically he or she will get specifically with respect to girls, as she will be attaining the education, she will be more aware about her civil political rights, rights to inheritance. As she will be become an adult, she will be able to face her husband, she will be able to question her decisions, okay, and even may ask for her inheritance in the property. So it is thought that basically they should be married at an early age before 18, so that they will have less awareness about their civil and political rights, okay, they will have less awareness with respect to the rights of inheritance. And basically by way of that early marriage, when she will have less awareness, the parents or the brother will not have to give her a share or inheritance in the ancestral property. So that is also a reason, okay. This is basically the reasons that are given. You can go for another scheme also, that social, political, economic, cultural, okay. You can also go for this scheme in order to identify the reasons for the prevalence of child marriage in India. So in brief, I will again highlight here what is written, what is the legal conundrum, okay, the problem with respect to religious laws and with respect to the constitution, and then there is the insecurity because of violence, and then there is the issue of share in the ancestral property. Okay, and in last slide we also have seen the issue of patriarchy, issue of poverty. Okay, so these are the issues because of which child marriage is still prevalent in India. And if you want to go for another schemes to identify the issues that are because of which child marriage is prevalent, you can go for social reasons, economic reasons, political reasons. Obviously the points will remain same, but you have to just classify these under this particular heading. So moving forward, what are the government initiatives for this? Okay, the major thing basically that is prevalent is the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006, which specifically provides for punishment, okay, in the case of basically child marriages. Okay, then there is a POSCO Act basically 2012. Okay, then there is basically proposal of increasing the legal age of marriage for women. J.R. Jaitley committee was also announced basically in this regard, that the age of legal marriage should be increased for the girls as well from 18 to 21 years. This thing can be also asked with respect to your prelims exams, because UPSC has been asking this type of question for a long period of time now. They can ask you specifically with respect to that, why was J.R. Jaitley committee constituted, and in one liner 4 basically options, or it can ask you that to increase the legal age, one committee was introduced, and in options it can ask you 4 committees, and J.R. Jaitley committee will be the one of the options. And another one is a Beti Bachao Beti Padhao Abhiyan. These are the 4 things, and you can also further link it with your fundamental rights, that is article 21, that is right to life with dignity, right to life with dignity. So these are the government initiatives that are prevalent here. Okay, so you have a comprehensive coverage of a topic for child marriage, that is what is child marriage, what is the status of child marriage in India, okay, what are the reasons for the prevalence of child marriage, and what are the government initiatives in this regard. And if it is possible, try to go for the objectives, not in detail, just the objectives of this, both the acts basically. I hope so you must have covered in this within your classes, but if you haven't, just Google it and try to go through the objectives of this. Okay, next issue that we will be dealing is that is of Malabar exercise from your security. Okay, what is Malabar exercise? First of all, again important for your prelims exams specifically, it was started in 1992. Okay, first of all, you need to remember the fact that it began as a bilateral exercise. Bilateral means between 2 nations. Bilateral exercise between the navies of India and United States. First of all, when it was started in 1992, it was not a multilateral exercise, but it was a bilateral exercise. Okay, it happened between the navies of India and United States. When it was expanded in 2007 with the participation of Japan, Singapore and Australia. Okay, 3 nations basically, Japan, Singapore and Australia. Okay, now Japan has become a permanent partner in 2015. When it has become a permanent partner 2015, Australia again participated in the exercise again in 2020. So you have a lot of prelims question here. First of all, the UPSC may ask you whether it is a bilateral or a multilateral exercise. Okay, the question can be framed 2 ways basically. The first of all, when the Malabar exercise started, whether it started as a multilateral exercise or a bilateral exercise, you will say bilateral. But now, is it a multilateral or bilateral exercise? It is now a multilateral exercise. So next question can be asked with respect to expansion, that when it was expanded. Okay, or the basically the navies of which countries basically participated here, that can be asked. Basically can be asked with respect to when did Japan became a permanent partner, whether when it first participated in 2007 or in 2015. You have answered 2015. Next, it can also be asked with respect to that Australia is a permanent partner or basically not, or basically whether Australia has been continuously participating since 2007. You have answered no, that it first participated in 2007 and after that it participated in 2020. So lot of things can be asked from here. You must remember these facts. Further, the next fact that is important is that it was earlier when it started in 1992, it was not an annual exercise, means it did not happen every year. It did not happen every year since its inception. After 1992, two more editions of the exercise were carried out in 1995 and 1996. It means after 1992 the exercises happened in 1995, then it happened in 1996, which again there was a break until 2002, and in the aftermath of India's nuclear test from 2002 the exercise has been conducted every year. So it may also be asked whether the exercise, the annual exercises, okay, when did it started? In 1992, when India basically started this Malabar exercise. From the very beginning it was an annual exercise, or it became an annual exercise after that. You have an answer that no doubt it started in 1992, but it was not an annual exercise. It became an annual exercise only after 2002. Moving forward, further, the next topic that we will be dealing with is that is seva. Okay, the recent article basically came in the newspaper in the context of, just give me a second, in the context of demise of Ella Bhatt. Okay, she died basically, so rest in peace to her. Okay, a very prominent social activist, Gandhian leader, okay, was a member of a parliament also, was a member of a planning commission also, okay, was the pioneer of a group called Seva, Self-Employed Women's Association. Okay, you must have studied within your classes in the context of self-help groups, okay, but I will tell you in brief in the context of article, okay, what was the objective or what was the focus of a Seva. So Seva, it was founded in 1972, okay, by Ella Bhatt as a branch of Textile Labour Association, a labor union founded by Mahatma Gandhi in 1918, if you remember from your history classes, okay. So it is the largest organization of the informal workers in the world, okay, and specifically, and majority of these workers basically constitute women. Okay, the group operated particularly in the context of women by empowering her, by catering to her needs, catering to their needs, okay, by providing them savings, by providing them the strategies for micro entrepreneurship, by providing the bank linkages, all the strategies that we will be discussing here, okay. So what were the strategies adopted by basically Seva? First of all, before we start with this, we need to know what is self-help group, okay, because you will get a mention of it. See, self-help group is a voluntary association of at least 15 to 20 members, okay, 15 to 20 members, participation, voluntary, who come together to promote the savings among themselves and to cater to the minimal financial needs of each other in the context of internal loans. so that if you have some basically small financial needs, you do not have to go to a money lender or get trapped in their vicious circle. Okay, that need is basically solved internally by these members. Okay, whatever the funds they pool out of that, basically a loan is given to basically individual who is in the need of that loan. Okay, and basically there is also a possibility that basically the loan will not be defaulted, because the member is known to everybody. She is a member of that self-help group. Okay, that is known by everybody. So the possibility of a return on this loan is basically very high, so a risk ratio is very less. So first of all, asset creation. This was the first strategy that was adopted by SEWA. Okay, the fundamental barrier that SEWA recognizes was that see, why are women marginalized or disempowered within the society? First of all, that is because they are not financially independent. They are not financially independent. And why they are financially not independent? Because first of all, they have not have jobs, because of which they do not have income. Second thing, okay, they do not have assets in their name. Okay, if they will be having some property in their name, okay, they will be more respected within their households. Okay, they will be, their decisions, they will be able to participate in the decision making. Okay, their advice will also be sought by the family members. So for first strategy they adopted that by them was the lack of assets under their name, which often forces into the debt trap and leave them poor and marginalized. So what did SEWA did was, SEWA views asset creation at individual level, okay, through savings. As I have already told you in the SHG, what they did was basically they promoted the savings among their groups. They pooled their savings and basically motivated the individuals, specifically female members, to buy the assets in their name, so they can become financially independent. They can generate income from their assets, and when they will basically be financially independent, they will be financially empowered. Their advice will be sought in the homes. They will be more able to participate in the decision making in the homes. Okay, their status in the family will improve. So saving as the first essential step to strengthen the members' livelihood as well as their credit worthiness. Because whenever, for example, now you are doing a job, okay, they are promoting a savings. Okay, now you have, through that savings, you have created an assets. Further, basically you want to start some business, okay, in your name. So whenever you will go to a bank, they will check your credit worthiness. Now you have a collateral also in your name. Okay, and they will see that you are going for constant savings, and they will be more, what we say, appreciative of you in the context of giving you the loan. So that was the first strategy that was adopted. Second one was organize women members into the self-help groups. Okay, as I have already told you, what are self-help groups? Basically the members who come voluntarily together to pool their savings and solve the financial needs, so that they do not have to go to a money lenders to get the loans at a higher rate of interest, or even to the banks. Okay, and do not become trapped in the vicious circle of poverty. So what they did was to achieve the collective strength, bargaining power, and greater productivity. SSGs have helped in starting micro enterprises, investing in new equipment, financial working capital, on freeing themselves of an exploitative loan from the local money lenders. So what did SSGs did? Okay, whatever the funds they basically pooled, on the basis of that they started giving loans to the members. If some of the individuals wanted to start a new business, okay, some of the individuals basically wanted to fund their working requirements, working capital requirements of their businesses. Okay, some of them wanted to buy a new equipment. If, because why this strategy was adopted is that needs to be understood, because if you will go to money lender for these requirements, they will charge you a very high rate of interest. And if you will go to bank, it is a high probability that because of low collateral or lack of collateral, or because of irregular income, they might not be basically willing to give you a loan. Okay, and because of which the individual business initiative will remain at a back end. So to solve that problem, basically SSGs were formed, the funds were pooled, and out of that funds basically the loans were given to the basically members to start their businesses, to fund their equipment, to fund their capital needs, so that they can be saved from the exploitative money lenders as well as the banks, and so that women can also become entrepreneurs in society. So this was the second strategy that was adopted. Third one was basically strengthening women's skills and capacities. Obviously try to link here that if you want to start a business, okay, you want to become a entrepreneur, okay, or you want to improve your agriculture business, or you want to start any A, B, C type of business, anything, okay, it is essential that you have the skills for that productivity. Okay, if you want to have basically become invested in agriculture, you should know that basically what are the requirements of agriculture, how basically seeds are sown, what is the technical requirement, all that things need to be known. If you are in a business, you should know the marketing requirements, basically how the business is expanded, what are the credit needs, so to become them an efficient businesses, so that businesses do not fail. Basically that entrepreneurship that has been decided by women, okay, they stated that basically we will provide them with financial literacy, we will provide them with business management, market assessment, agriculture techniques to encourage their growth as entrepreneurs, so that they can become successful in their fields. Okay, even if they are willing to adopt agriculture, if they are willing to start their own businesses, so that basically they are aware of the technical things that are required for a businessman or businesswoman to know that how the business operates. Okay, so strengthening the skills and the capacities. And the last one is basically encouraging the capital formation. Capital formation at two levels. First one is at household level and second one is at enterprise level. Why the capital formation at household level? It has been seen that even if take the example of COVID, that if you don't have savings or you do not have some funds, okay, extra funds, okay, there is a problem with respect to meeting the health, education and consumption related needs, specifically seen in the context of COVID. Okay, many of the individuals, because they did not have the funds to basically go through the COVID treatment, okay, they had to take the loans, okay, and people also lost their jobs, and this thing basically pushed them into the poverty. So it was kind of a safety valve, that if you will be having some extra funds pooled in your account, okay, that may be used at the to fund the household needs, that needs maybe of health, that needs maybe of education of your children, that needs maybe of consumption related needs, okay, so that you do not have to go to a money lender, you do not have to go to a bank to fund those needs, so that you can be saved from the poverty. Next thing is at the enterprise level. Why at the enterprise level? To start a new business and expand the existing ones. Okay, if you want to start a new business, so that basically what they try to do, link it with the SSGs, okay, that if you will have your own saving, the more the saving, the less will be your credit requirements. Even in the existing business, with also that more the savings, less the credit requirement, there will be the less need for you to go to a bank or money lender to fund your business. So that kind of thing, because sometimes it can also further high rate of interest can push you into the poverty or make your business a failure. Okay, and it was done through the combination of savings and credit services given by the SSGs to their own individual members. So this was a seva. The particular question in this context can be asked with respect to that what was seva, okay, or what was the strategies that were adopted by seva to improve the basically position of women in society. So you have all the points that are needed, that see they were, the strategy adopted was of strengthening the skills and capacities of a woman, okay, encouraging capital formation at household and at the enterprise level, the focus on the asset creation, okay, organizing women into the SHGs. These were some specific strategies that were adopted by the seva organization. So this was there within the context of seva. Moving forward, just give me a second. Okay, the next issue is with respect to the counter terrorism. Okay, you must have read an article about this also. This was basically on 9th of November, I think. Okay, the article stated that, see, the global war on terrorism has not been yielding desired results, as can be seen from the recent events, that the fight for terrorism, to fight to eliminate terrorism, the fight has not yielded desired results because they are still able to finance themselves. Okay, on social media they are still able to spread their messages, they are still able to recruit the individuals. Okay, some groups have not been banned. Okay, they are still able to penetrate attacks against the another countries. Okay, they have been able to make use of new emerging technologies against the countries. So that is why the global war on terrorism basically has not yielded results, and this question can be asked with respect to your mains examination also, and you will need to provide some specific examples in that context. For example, the first example that can be provided here is of China, okay, which has ensured that the UNSC does not designate Masood Azhar or Hafiz Saeed, okay, as the global terrorist. There has been always, whenever the issue comes up, basically it is vetoed by China. So that is basically taking a toll for India with respect to the fight against terrorism. Then the weak international reaction to Taliban's takeover of Kabul. Even US invaded in that context, that we will not allow Taliban in 2000, that we will not allow Taliban to take over Afghanistan. It is a terrorist organization, but now it has left by negotiating a deal with Taliban, and Taliban has taken over, and more or less basically the countries have accepted the takeover. Okay, next, basically the financing is happening through the use of bitcoins or cryptocurrencies. That these are the blockchain, you must know that these are the blockchain technologies. Okay, they are encrypted, they cannot be traced. Then basically new social medias like the use of dark web, okay, that is being used basically to spread the messages, to recruit the individuals. Then the emerging tech drones, you must have seen newspapers many a times that the terrorist groups or even Pakistan makes use of the drones to send the smuggling things or the arms or the drugs in India, in on the basically Amritsar, what we say, the western border that we have with respect to Punjab border. Okay, or even in context of, basically you will see in the context of what we say Indo Bangladesh border also, that is there, that has been sometimes used to infiltrate. Okay, the drones for example are used to deliver funds, okay, drugs, weapons, ammunition, and even improvised explosive devices. Okay, then use of biosphere into targeted populations, chemical attacks on the population by the terrorist groups. On from all these events, we can see that basically the global war on terrorism has not yielded the desired results as it should have. In fact, we can see that with the rising technological advances, the fight is weakening. So in this context, what we need to do, we need to adopt a strategy to counter the terrorism, okay, to eliminate the terrorism. What we need to do, we need a three-pronged, okay, multi approach. You can say we need a three-pronged approach that focuses upon security first of all. Okay, purpose should be to eliminate the terrorist groups. It can be done by ensuring proper deployment, modernization of forces, electric fencing on the borders, and preemptive strikes strengthen the state security. It means that increasing the capability of countries to fight against the terrorism, both in context of modern weapons, by using the modern technology like electric fencing on the borders, in every possible way, so that they can fight the terrorist groups. Second one is basically with respect to economic is in context of basically funding of terrorist groups. So what needs to be done is purpose is to cut social support to terrorist groups, that is neither funding them nor legitimizing them, and basically not, they should not be able to make any recruitment within any country. The idea is developing by providing employment and economic engagement of people in infected areas of terrorism. What needs to be done is basically, first of all, cut the funding of the terrorists so that they are unable to operate. Second thing is, where terrorism is basically a major center point, we need to go for the development of those areas. We need to provide the economic benefits to those areas. In fact, we need to provide employment to the people so that basically they can be driven away from the terrorist groups. Third one is basically political. Political is about negotiation of all stakeholders, offering terrorist groups to fulfill their demands through constitutional and legal means. Generally, it is amnesty gets announced for the entire group, are basically negotiating a deal with terrorists, that see that you will not be able to fight against the state if you have some deals, basically negotiate with the state, okay, or basically fulfill the demands in the context of constitutional means that are provided to you by the state. Even in the context of India, see, to many Naxal groups, basically the states has given amnesty and has argued that if you want to wage your demands, okay, if you want to fulfill your demands, fulfill within the context of the constitution. If you will surrender before the police, we will give you amnesty, okay, and we will negotiate a deal with you. So that kind of thing, basically security, economic, and as well as the political, basically solutions to combat the terrorism. Next, basically India has further provided a 5-point formula to deal with terrorism, okay. First of all, it has argued that we should go for exchange of timely and actionable intelligence, that countries should cooperate among themselves to provide the actionable intelligence so that they can act against terrorist groups or individuals. Then prevention of misuse of modern communication system, okay, for example dark web is there, okay, or basically new social media groups are there that are being used by the terrorist groups to recruit the individual, any, or drones, new technologies that are being used by the terrorist groups to penetrate against the state. Next, building capacities to increase the border control, okay, that can be done through modern weapons, okay, by adopting new technology so that state can fight against the terrorist groups. Then sharing the information on movement of persons, that if any state or any country has the information with respect to any terrorist individual who is about to penetrate or infiltrate within the country, okay, that kind of intelligence. Then designation of counter terror focal points for effective response, okay. These are the 5 points that has been given by India to deal with the counter terrorism. This points can also be shared by you with respect to, if a question is asked that see what is the strategy that can be adopted by India to basically deal with the aspects of counter terrorism, so you can highlight these 5 points solely there. Next, basically India has also given a strategy, given a treaty, that is Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism, Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism, but this has not been accepted yet because of what we say contentions by the many countries with respect to the features of this treaty. What are the basic features? First of all, is with the respect of accept the universal definition of terrorism to be adopted in the domestic laws. It means there should be no differentiation in good and bad terrorist. This kind of thing, this definition has been opposed by many countries including the US, that there cannot be the universal definition of terrorism. Then ban all the terrorist groups and shut down all terrorist camps irrespective of the country, okay. Then prosecution of all terrorists under special anti-terror law. And last one, mandatory extradition of terrorists involved in cross-border terrorism. For example, you can talk about David Headley here, okay, who masterminded the Mumbai attacks. Okay, he was in US basically, and not extradited to India. No doubt India basically kept on demanding the extradition of him, but he was not extradited. So these are the 5 points, but basically the various countries have their own contentions with respect to the features of this treaty. That is why it has not been adopted yet. But obviously you can mention within your answers that, see, if we want to fight a global war on terrorism, we want to eliminate the terrorism in all the forms, what we need to do is basically we need to adopt this comprehensive convention on international terrorism as advocated by India, which basically talks about banning all the terrorist groups, prosecuting them, extraditing them, and also focuses upon the universal definition of terrorism, so that there is no, what we say, uncertainty or vagueness about what constitutes the aspects of terrorism. So in this thing, basically what you can learn is what is a strategy that can be adopted to deal with the terrorism. Obviously you have security, economic, political. Then what can be the measures that can be adopted? You have a 5 points. Okay, and in your conclusion you can write the treaty that India has framed with respect to the counter terrorism. So this will be all from my side today. Okay, we have done the 4 topics, with 2 with respect to society, seva and child marriage, and 2 with respect to security, Malabar and counter terrorism. The question for your seize the means is, just give me a second, that is, discuss the reasons responsible for prevalence of child marriages in various parts of India, and what are the government initiatives in this regard. You have to write in 250 words. Okay, the video will be uploaded and the answer will be provided to you. So that will be all from my side. Best of luck. Okay, we will meet next Friday.